Welcome to Autism, the show that always unique, totally interesting, and sometimes mysterious.
Oh, that was great. And on this show, we'll be talking about all things autism with myself, Dick Dawson, with the great guy you just heard there, Matt, and his mom, Aimee, as well as Booleanenator.
And we will be looking at autism in all its forms, from little toddlers to us adults as well. New topics each week, hopefully going forward, because this is the finale.
Tonight's episode is...
And what is tonight's episode, do you know?
Autism Treatments and Therapies, the finale.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. So
We got an announcer in the making here, people. Watch this space. He'll take over the channel in no time.
He will too. I'm out of a job. Yes. Would you like me to start first with the first slide?
Sure. Perfect.
Thank you. So first, we've got physical therapy, which is used to help people who have difficulty with functional movement, poor balance, and challenges moving throughout their environment. Sometimes kids with autism will have these same issues because it is neurological.
We have a little guy in the complex here that's autistic as well, and you can see that he's just not athletic. You know what I mean? There's never going to be that level of coordination and stuff that would lead to anything of that nature. You can just see it, and this is exactly, I bet there's a lot of physical therapy going down in his world.
I bet, because Matt's sort of like that. He's not very athletic. He has poor muscle tone. We have to watch that. And we try to bulk him up with all kinds of exercises and food and everything. And so that's what we try to do too.
Yep, Felix too. He's very slim because Felix is just a natural wimp. He won't use his strength.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. It's funny. And if you give him a slightly heavy bag of groceries, he'll just look at you like you're insane, even though if he just actually tried, he could carry it no problem. But that's who he is. But if you get him doing something, he does have the coordination and whatnot. He just doesn't have the motivation to do anything extraneous.
Yep, that's Matt too, because if I hand him anything that might even, like a gallon of milk or something, and that's it. Mom, this is too heavy. But if I can get him going, once he's going, he's really good at it, and he'll help me bring the groceries in. It's just kind of getting him there.
Yeah, we're still at the point where Felix carries the lighter things because there's just no way, otherwise it's just going to be a joke. It's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well carry the heavy stuff. It's going to happen anyway.
Oh, it's funny.
What was that we
what,
said?
What about yourself there, Bull? Yeah.
I was going to say, what was that we said in previous episodes? You pick your battles, right? So,
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, with me, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a wimp. Although when I was in school, that was very much. I didn't want to fight. I didn't get into physical altercations. But that was back in the 70s, where there wasn't as much stuff to keep us inside in the first place. So going outside to play was kind of just a thing we did. We went outside to play because there's nothing to do inside other than listen to the same 5 records we've listened to 500 times. So, or watch TV. And if there's nothing on TV, our parents aren't letting us turn it on. Basically, that was the thing. And the TV wasn't the kind of thing that we just sat and vegged out in front of. We planned our TV.
Yes, us too.
It was like, oh, you guys can watch this, Little House on the Prairie, Electric Company, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, maybe some cartoons on Saturday, and that was pretty much the extent of what we watched as kids. But, and as soon as I heard the theme song for MASH, I knew it was time to go to bed. So, because my parents didn't want me to watch MASH, and I understand now, watching that entire series and loving it in retrospect. Like, hey, that wouldn't have been good for a 5 or 6 year old.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So-
my son just discovered MASH. His favorite shows right now are MASH and Adam 12. Like, we're right in the whatever golden age of television. It's hilarious. I
That's
feel like I'm
awesome.
watching one of those rerun channels.
That's awesome. Yeah, like TV Land down here, which was a like a Nickelodeon subsidiary, and they used to play all the classics all the time, and I think we still have it.
Yeah, like Gilligan's Island and I Dream of Jeannie and stuff would be on, right?
There's
Yes.
this show called Emergency, and it's about people who, like ambulance drivers, basically.
Oh,
And the answer to everything
Oh.
is 4 cc's of Ringer's lactate.
yeah. That was my favorite show as a kid.
Mine too. I even had
Yeah.
the truck and everything.
Yeah, so did I, man. I could do the whole intro right now and everything, but maybe we should get to the next slide here.
Yeah, we're getting a little
Well,
tangential.
before you know it, we'll go into an analyzing of the streets of San Francisco or something.
Right. So
Okay. So, do you want to take number 2, Boom?
sure. Areas of intervention: gross motor skills, using large muscles for sitting, standing, walking, and running, and balance and coordination skills. Involves brain, bones, and muscles in coordinating smooth movements. This second one kind of hits home with me because I have a comorbidity of epilepsy, and those drugs mess with your coordination a lot. So it's not necessarily the autism itself that's causing the problem, but a comorbidity. So, and there's a lot
Right.
of comorbidities with autism, and they're not all the same in every person. So, this is another one of those individualized things, which is why you need a therapist.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Felix falls under the second one with the balance coordinating skills. As he got, like, he's tall for his age, so he would have had it anyway.
Right.
But as he's been that height for a bit, it does pick up because I guess, maybe muscle memory and whatnot's helping at that point. Been doing it long enough, but you could see it for sure.
I think this is also where music played a huge part of my life, because if it's a different part of your brain when you play music. So if you can get your hands to do music, then your fine motor skills and your coordination will improve. And my handwriting did improve once I picked up piano.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, the
still-
musicianship, once I started with that, really helped as well. Absolutely. It's one of the reasons why I've had musical instruments in my son's life for years. But for years and years, like when he was little, we got an electronic set of drums. He sat down, put the headphones on, and instantly started playing or, making a racket and a few things like that. And he had a electric piano when he was young, and he was always banging on it and having fun. But once he got to the age where he could actually learn to play, now it's just complete resistance. And I think we're finally getting past it, and maybe he's going to try again.
I hope so.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I could teach him.
Really good.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's such a thing to focus on and have fun with. Fine motor control and so on. And as well, I mean, like, I can play 5, 6 instruments, so I have enough to teach him.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can pretty much, anything with strings, I can pretty much pick it up and have it making music inside of about half an hour. So,
Wow.
yeah, kind of natural that way, but
That's lucky.
yeah. And see, the first one here with the gross motor skills, that goes right to what we were talking about, the kids not wanting to lift heavy objects and stuff. There's a real
Yes.
resistance with the younger autistic kids, and they just don't want to use strength unless they're having some kind of freak out rage moment. Then they sure will.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've been on the receiving end one too many times.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it's like, wow, your skin didn't go green, but you sure got the strength.
Exactly.
Have you seen that Pixar movie, Jack Attack?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's an autistic meltdown right there.
yeah.
There you go. That's perfect.
Totally. Funny, Felix loves that part of the movie. When Mr. Incredible's showing Frozone, but I can't just keep giving them cookies. But if I stop, and then boom, he goes crazy. Yeah, exactly. Like Reason says here, it has to be something he wants to do. Just because I'm good doesn't mean he'll ever. Yeah, and
Right.
and that's totally true. It's not like you can force it on him in any way. But if he took to it, it's just so easy for me to fulfill.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Funny, but very true. Very true.
Yes.
I've actually got my son Felix all set up to start making ecospheres as soon as he gets home. And we might, get some footage and whatnot and make something out of it. You never know, right?
Hey, that would be really good.
Yeah, and at the very least, it'll be a neat way to teach some stuff about science and whatnot. Like, you got, usually with those little things, you at least get like the boogie worms and the hydras and, a whole bunch of things. It should be good. I'm hoping anyway. But yeah,
exactly.
I'm doing that whole thing again. I'm still got painkillers going through, so a little babbly.
That's okay. I think we'll make it to 45 minutes today.
Yeah. I'll watch that. So should we go to the next one? Should I? Let's see here. We got physical therapy, areas of intervention, strengthening, building muscle for support and endurance, and we'll tell you it's not the easiest thing, and functional mobility, motor planning, moving through space day to day for independence and efficiency, kind of like, not banging your knee on the coffee table every time you try to get from the kitchen to the living room and vice versa.
Right. Right.
Which
Exactly.
I could still use as well, because wow, that hurts.
And it hurts more as you get older.
Exactly. Can't laugh that off now. But
No,
yeah, and trying to get autistic kids to build muscle, it's needed. Like you can't just let a person wither away, but it's not easy. The one thing I can say for sure with Felix is, if you're worried he's not getting enough, get up and go in life, you just, hey buddy, you want to go for a walk? We'll head down to the beach and see if the eagles are in the trees and stuff. And once he gets moving, he kind of skips when he walks and stuff, and he exerts energy, and so it works really well. But if you don't suggest it, he could just zone out all afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that
That's
was me.
Matthew, too.
That was me as a teenager too. Like, my mom would suggest walks after she got home, and we ate, and we walked down all over the place, basically. Yeah. But if she didn't suggest a walk, I would veg in front of the TV.
Yep.
Point blank.
Yeah.
That was what I did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've gotten Felix to the point now where he can edit videos and like record narration and things, and he's really learning on his own. So he's away from the zone on TV now. He won't do that, but he'll like YouTube out or do video editing or something. And so it's good. It's really good. I found something he's really interested in, because like he'll come in from playing outside with the kids for an hour and say, "Hi, Dad, I'm making a movie now." And I'll say, "Oh, what are you going to make one about?" Flags of the world through history, and he's got one from Germany's flag evolving and Canada and so on, and so it's funny.
See,
That's awesome.
like, TV for me is like it's like the sugar of activities, right? It's empty calories, right? You could do it, and it takes up time, and it gets your mind off whatever it is that's bugging you, but it doesn't really accomplish anything. It's just more of a time waster, a filler for something else. So if you can find something else to do, by all means. By all
Yeah.
means.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do find that my son isn't much of a video gamer, which really helps, because it's a lot easier to get him doing things, and he's so into nature, and we live in an area where you wake up in the morning and there's a family of deer in the backyard, so he'll be out filming them and stuff. So it's really important to find those few things. It might not be easy to find them, but keep at it, you will. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like with Matt, it's scootering. He loves to go out and ride his scooter, and that helps too. And it helps expend some energy. It makes him tired at the end of the day, so that's always a plus.
It's a damn good one for sure. Felix doesn't like a scooter because learning how to ride it, he's just faster at running, so he just jumps off of it and runs away.
Yeah, they are faster at running, but yeah.
It's funny. Should we go to the next one then?
Sure.
Sure.
Do you want me to take that one?
Sure.
All right. It's called Verbal Behavior Therapy, which is VBT, which is a comprehensive language program for children and adults who suffer from delayed or disordered language. VBT motivates people to learn language in an errorless way. And this is good for kids with low verbal skills and kids who aren't verbal at all. Sometimes they can be helped by that.
Yes. Felix needed quite a bit. Felix wasn't good with language in the early part of his, from the age of 3 to 5. But he's got such a great memory that it wasn't too hard to work around it and get him talking more. But he had no motivation because he really didn't care what you had to say. And so we had to get him to the point where he found the value of interacting with people, the enjoyment from it, and then it started to really kick. But there's no panic needed if a child's really late bloomer in talking with autism, because there's really good ways of working around it. We had some really good people, and it really helped. He came through it eventually. So, stick to it, but let the program do its thing. Don't jump and jump and jump. Find a program you think that's going to, sounds right, and stick.
Exactly. Because like with Matt, he was an early talker, but he plateaued like around 2. And then after that, it was harder to get him, he was really frustrated when he was little because he couldn't, talk too much beyond that. So and it took him a while too, but once he started talking and was able to express his needs and his wants, it did get so much easier and the frustration levels dropped.
Yes.
And he's finally now to a point where he can tell me what he needs and what's wrong and what's going on. So, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
I was like the opposite. Once, I was a little bit of a late bloomer when it came to talking specifically. But once I learned how, I would not shut up, my parents said. I just wouldn't be they tried to get me to stop talking at the dinner table because, it's time, now is when we eat, and we all can't have a conversation with you, and it can't take you an hour and a half to eat a flatbread pizza. That's ridiculous. So, it was
That'd be a big pizza if it took that long.
Well, no, or you'd be talking an incredible amount and just ignoring it until it turned cold. So that was my issue.
Yeah, well, when I was young, I would get all chatty and whatnot. By the age of like 8 or whatever, when I was coming out of the shell more, I would get all chatty in the completely wrong moments always and annoy adults.
Oh, wow, yep.
Yeah. And just put me in a room with 30 kids, like, in a classroom. Yeah, that's like, to me, it was like being on stage. It just didn't work well. Calm down later, but sorry.
Has it really though, Dick? Has it really?
Yeah,
You weren't supposed to call me on that one. Oh, it's funny.
That is funny. With me, I just never had much to say. It was just one of those things. Yeah, I didn't have to. If I got stuff myself that I needed, or just didn't matter, so I didn't say anything.
Should we go to the next one? It reinforces this good.
Sure.
Yes, please.
So verbal
You want me
behavior.
to take that?
No, I got it.
Oh,
I got
sorry.
it. Verbal behavior therapy. Key elements are heavy focus on development of language, errorless learning through immediate and frequent prompts that are later reduced once successful.
And we did a lot of this where when asking Felix a question like, what would you like for supper? You give him the answers and he chooses one, and it really encourages proper use of the language, and then it's really easy for them to pick it up. It's monkey see, monkey do.
Yep, definitely. It was the same with Matt too. We did that a lot. What would you like for dinner? Would you like a pizza or would you like spaghetti? And just for examples, and hold up pictures of both, and and whatever he picked, I just keep repeating it to him, and eventually he would start to say it. So
I like that. But yeah, the prompt thing really helps, and I mean it's the same like Bull would know as somebody in the tech world and whatnot. There's so many crazy words getting thrown at you as you learn. To read them is one thing, but if you hear somebody speak it, you don't have to work on pronunciation in your brain or anything, and it's way smoother. And this is similar idea.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It really worked well with Matt. I just kept, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what we're doing. You need to do this. You need to do that. And we just kept repeating it, and it really worked well with him. And he's finally able to. Took a little bit, but he was able to eventually. I want this. I want for supper. He got there eventually, but yeah. It took a lot of work like this, and you just gotta repetitiveness is great.
Exactly. Purple rhymes with orange has a good one in the chat. My grandma always remembered that when I was 8, I gave her an hour-long lecture on snails.
That's great.
Oh, that's funny. Well, my son was the same, Purple. At 8 or 9 years old, my son had watched every ounce or minute of wildlife documentary he could get his hands on. We've got probably 300 toy plastic animals in the house, and all the walls of my home, like all up the stairs, are sheets printed from our computer, the African lion, and then a blurb about them, and it's just everywhere. Like we're just animal centric. Same thing. Too funny.
Matt, he really got attached to sheep, so our house is just sheep.
Yeah.
I get clocked with one every once in a while.
Yeah. Wake up.
Yeah. Wake up, mama.
Sheep beats. That's funny.
Yeah.
Should we do the next slide then? It's next in the line here.
Yes, please.
We got key elements, immediate reinforcement, situations and instructions varied to sustain individuals' interest. And that's exactly like we just went on the wildlife tangent there. Take any interest you can find and use it as a learning tool. Huge.
Absolutely, it's huge, and some, like in some situations too, with Matthew using humor, made his interest come in too, and using his social stories where I can't really draw. You saw, using those and injecting humor into those and everything really helped a lot too.
Oh yeah. And the immediate reinforcement, like when Felix asks me something properly and really uses his words correctly, I instantly say, "Well, sure, Felix, great use of your words there. Dad's proud of you."
Absolutely, and I do the same thing too with Matt. All right, good job asking. Thank you for asking.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
doing such a good job trying too. And it's so immediate reinforcement is huge.
It is.
I think my dad did this with me a lot with electronics. Like, it wasn't back in the day. It was I think it was a little bit easier for kids to get into electronics if their parents worked in the electronics industry. My dad worked for Hewlett Packard, the division which is now Agilent. They worked on creating heart monitors. So it was, he was part of he was a process engineer, and he did the vapor soldering of the boards inside the heart monitors. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, really cool stuff. But, if you've got a parent who knows that stuff and you've got an interest in that stuff, he bought me an erector set. I never built much out of the erector set, but it came with a motor, and the motor had this really cheap battery clip, and he's like, well, let's get it so it runs off the wall. And we built that project together.
Nice.
And that was my first one, and I was probably 6 when we did that. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, and it was just a switch with a little AC adapter. It was nothing fancy, but to a 6-year-old, that's a sense of accomplishment. It only got better from there. Like, we built radios and had to remember those little Radio Shack things, the 150 in ones or whatever. You could put wires in and
I
wires.
love those. I had a few of them. Yeah.
Wire stuff up with those. Yeah, that's what we did, and we built our own things with it instead of the projects out of the book. Because projects out of the book, those always worked, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm being sarcastic. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It was the project out of the book usually left a kid without adult supervision going, "Oh, this isn't a fun toy."
Right.
Right.
Because you just didn't have the focus to deal with it. But I breezed through the book, and then I'm like, Dad, I need to know more. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, so then we went from there.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yep, I liked the Rector set too. That was
Oh,
good
God.
stuff. Should we do the next one?
Yes.
Sure. Right. I'll take that one if you want. It's called Developmental Individual Difference Relationship-Based / Floor Time Model. It's a framework that helps clinicians, parents, and educators conduct a comprehensive assessment and develop an intervention program, which are your treatments and therapies, tailored to the unique challenges and strengths of the individual.
Yeah, and this is where a lot of the stuff we've already covered as the series has progressed here comes together to make the big plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a good way to see where, okay, he's really good at this, but he's behind in this. We're going to focus on this more than this other thing that he's doing well with. It worked out really well. They did it at school, and I was able to go in with them, and that's how we were able to coordinate, what was happening at school and what was happening at home too, which was really helpful. I learned a lot from the school.
Yeah, we have a big overall plan that we work with the consulting people in town here, and we update it every year. And it's you review the last one, you figure out where the goals, which ones were met, which ones were surpassed, which ones were under, rework the plan, and shoot again. And once you make your first plan, that's a situation you'll keep doing and doing and doing. And it's a moment to make sure that your focus on what's going on is really good that day, because even just missing a tiny bit of the overall conversation can have you thinking something in the wrong area. Yeah, I know the first time we did this whole big overall plan with the professionals and whatnot, I made the meeting go a little longer than I think they felt it needed to, because I kept double checking everything to make sure I was totally on board with what they were saying.
Exactly. I did too, and I wanted everything in writing so I could have it in my hands. So I was like, okay, this is what we're working on.
Exactly.
It was very thorough. So, and we have with our case manager, we go through his goals and we look at what he's been able to accomplish too, and we do that once every 6 months.
Yeah.
For him, and we go through and see which goals have been met, which haven't, which we've been able to work on, some we can't, especially with the socialization ones that are faltering right now because of the pandemic, but not much you can do about that.
No, yeah.
So that one's on hold, but he's doing fairly well with most of them, so we'll have to look at that again next month.
Yeah, we have a big meeting coming up in about 25, 30 days, whatever it is, because, it's the start of a new school year, and that means a new plan. And so we'll do the IEP school plan, and then we'll do his overall plan right afterwards. That's how we've got them in cycle now, so that they can feed off each other. It works really well.
That's what we do too. Everything is coordinated. Everything.
Yeah, might as well be, right? Exactly.
Absolutely. It makes it easier to remember too.
And with tech development type stuff, Boole, I mean, the organization of a big group and whatnot can be a nightmare. And this is an organization of a big group of variables. So it's the same it really takes some concentration to make sure that you get the plan in your head, because then you react that way during life that year. Whereas if you don't truly have the plan in your head, it's so easy to just slip into habits that aren't helping.
Well, yeah, definitely. If you don't have a game plan going, it may not always work. That's why you always refine it.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. This is not something that is done once. It's done every year or every semester or as needed, pretty much. So,
yep,
constant reworking, but well worth it.
I kind of wish that we'd had something like this when I was growing up, because it was, I think my parents instinctively knew some of the stuff, but there was a lot of stuff that we've covered up to date that just, if I'd have had it, it'd have been great. And this is one of those things.
Yes. Yeah. There's quite a few people that could have really benefited from a little bit more attention in this way. But it's one of those things, at least we're finally getting there.
Yes.
Whose turn's up? Who are we?
I think it's you, Dick.
That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. So let's see here. We've got developmental individual difference, relationship-based floor time model. Intervention program can include home-based interactions and practices, and they're really good because a lot of these kids compartmentalize their behavior in different spots. So to have them come in and see them in their own zone is really good. And then you've also got the individual therapy, and as I had brought up there, the IEP, the educational program as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
So when I really stress from my own personal experience that the home-based interactions and practices is huge, because they really see the child more naturally when in their own home environment. I've had meetings where when Felix was young, we would take him there, and his behavior would be so much different, and I'd be like, wow, this is a new behavior and stuff, and it's because he's in this new zone, new environment, new things to look at and groove around and stuff. Have them come to your home. I mean, really just do the cleaning and invite them in.
That's what we do. That's what I've been fighting to get for the past year, is to get them back in the home, because he's there. Plus, they're there a good chunk of the time, so they're not in school 24/7. So to be able to get them the help that they need at home too is really beneficial. And I know that he definitely benefits from it when we have someone in here.
Yeah.
Well, and growing up for me, school was kind of like an adversary. Just the entire system at some point, it turned into this thing I absolutely detested. Mostly because of the way I was treated as a kid. So if I was in the school, I was automatically on edge. And like you said, Dick, your behavior is going to change when that happens. It's going to change. The child's not going to act the same way in school, whether there's other kids around or not, as they would in the home environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they can't, because they see it. It's a different situation, and they already have what that situation is in their heads before you even get there.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes for all children. You have a few, you go somewhere, for dinner with your parents when you're a kid. And because you're in somebody else's home and whatnot, you yourself even can feel that everything isn't quite as normal as it would be,
Right.
It's very natural. And it's just exaggerated in the world of the autistic individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the individual therapies part, I mean, I think, even just depending on where you live and your area and stuff, they could be very different. People with new ideas, people running with programs that are well established, it varies. So I wouldn't want to go too much into what they are individually, but I think at this point in world history, I think most people have access to proper good ones now, and it's just a matter of, do you happen to live somewhere where you have to fight with funding and so on, which will be a show on its own, won't it, Aimee?
Oh God. Yes. It will. It definitely will.
Yeah, see, Super Mommy even just says there that's like exactly. I've heard some horror stories about Americans and wait times and so on, but up here I think we do have it a bit better. Although, that might be a show where we get some guests on and really get talking about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Mhm.
Let's see here. Who's after me? I think, well, it's not me, so you guys figure it out.
I think I'll go. I think I might have switched up the order accidentally anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'll take it.
Okay, sounds good.
Relationship development intervention used to guide the individual to seek out and succeed in truly reciprocal relationships. And the reciprocal part is important there.
Yes. It's huge. It took quite a while to get my son to the point where he even had a desire to have a 3-sentence back and forth with somebody, because there was nothing in him that saw any value in it until he sees it and then goes, oh, okay, there is something here. And now he's really trying to learn, because we've got this great environment with kids around and it's a perfect place for him. And he's really, really working on, being able to talk to and integrate with the kids more. So even if you don't see the results somewhat right away, even not so much right away, just keep it up, because it'll be drilled in for when they do desire it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to continue with the key points then, Bull? Seems like this is like a double ender.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this one. That one was really short slide.
Yeah.
Key issues addressed in relationship development intervention. Motivation. Why would you want to talk to anybody? Communication. Constructing sentences that make sense. Emotional regulation. That for me is probably one of the most important ones. And episodic memory and rapid attention shifting. I can't speak to those last two because I have eidetic memory for a lot of stuff, so I don't have a problem remembering. And I don't have the attention deficit disorder that tends to be comorbid with this, but yeah. Dick, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. For me, one of the big ones is motivation. Even if it's not there, keep the rest of it being pumped in, because when the motivation does kick in, the tools are already embedded in the subconscious mind, so to speak. You know what I'm saying, right?
Right. I do.
Mippet, her son is 27 and doing the one-word sentences or grunts. I remember my mom saying that to me when I was a kid. Doesn't mean anything. That's what was she used to say? Oh yeah, caveman, do you have your club in your hand and stuff like that? It would be funny. Purple asked about episodic memory. Episodic memory. Let's see here. What do you describe that best? Do you want to try, Aimee? I'm just having a thought.
Sure. Let me think. They might. It's a unique memory of a specific event, so it'll be different from someone else's recollection of the same experience. It's sometimes confused with autobiographical memory. While autobiographical memory includes episodic memory, it also relies on semantic memory. It's just a memory of specific events. Matt doesn't have a problem with that because he'll repeat stuff to me like 5 years later that we've spoken about, just in random, and he's pretty good at that.
I'm a spy.
Yeah, and Felix has this big time. When he was 5 years old, we took him to Calgary for a weekend trip up to the zoo and stuff. And about 3 years later, him and I went again. And we're driving down the highway, slowly getting towards Calgary. And Felix says to me, turn Daddy Tim Hortons, because he wanted to go to the donut and coffee shop. And sure enough, as we get around the next bend, there's a Tim Hortons on the right. And we must have gone there the first time. And he remembered it 4 years later. Boom, exact.
Yep, exactly. And Matt will do the same thing. And he'll remember. Sometimes it's even just remembering things we've said, but he knows where every single McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks is practically every town.
Yeah.
That smart fat goldfish.
And Felix can do all kinds of crazy memory tricks like that. I've got some too. I still remember my first phone number that I had to remember as a child and things like that. And they don't, some of the weird memories I can pull out from when I was like just a tiny little dude are so random. Like they're not even, oh, I remember that day with my dad or anything like that. It's just, I remember watching the dog run across the yard one day and weird things, but it's very much episodic memory.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because I remember stuff like that too. That's how my memory works too. I can remember stuff from years and years ago, and don't ask me to what I had for breakfast this morning, but
yeah. There's no rhyme or reason to it, right?
Yeah. I remember
Exactly.
I remember some of the noises I would make as a baby. Like like it's like why would I remember my own baby talk? That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
I do.
rapid attention, which is, it's one of those things. It's exactly on the same memory effect, right? Exactly the same. Emotional regulation is a big one in this list as well. They can easily flare up, and rapid attention shifting is something. It almost comes across as flighty or butterfly-y, which I know very well. And the effect would be like if you're an adult and you find that you'll start doing dishes, but then you'll clean the coffee table, but then instead of cleaning underneath it, you end up sweeping the front hallway. And then before you go back to the dishes, you've got the bathroom partially cleaned but not finished. And at the end of the day, you got 6 tasks done and none of them finished.
Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what I call. I have half-assed projects everywhere because I'll start doing something will distract me, and I'm off to something else. I'm like, what was I doing? Oh, well, let me just start on this.
Everything's a rabbit hole, right? Everything's a rabbit hole.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Right? Like if I'm gonna clean this bathroom, I better have the right cleaning products. Oh, I don't have them. Time to go shopping. It just goes from there. It's never ending.
Yeah. In my world, it's even worse. If I don't have what I need in the bathroom, as soon as I leave the bathroom, it's not getting cleaned until the next time it pops into my brain, because that's it. I'm on to something else already. It's bad.
Oh, the same way until I walk in there. And another thing that I always forget, and for some reason, I really need to fill that soap dispenser, and I'll walk by it, and I got to do that. Yep. Okay. I'll get distracted again. I'll come back because I need to wash my hands for something. I really need to fill that soap dispenser.
instead of just
Never
taking
remember that
just taking the 10 seconds when you do remember it to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. 'Cause usually someone's yelling, "I want something," so I can't take the time to do it, and then it's
That's funny. Shall we do the next one?
Yes.
Yes, please, and I can
All
do
right.
that if you want.
Please.
Thank you. Relationship development intervention RDI key issues addressed. Some more of them are self-awareness, appraisal, executive functioning, flexible thinking, and creative problem solving. That last one is a huge one.
Oh, the bottom two, flexible
Yeah.
thinking. If you teach, let's say, if you teach Felix how to make scrambled eggs, and you use a metal spatula. Well, if the metal spatula is dirty and the plastic one is clean, we have a problem. Right? Because that's not the one you use for eggs until he gets that through. Oh no, it means any one of them's okay. But that would be an example of how limited it can be until you get them past it.
I remember
Absolutely,
this
and
thing.
it is-
If I was making mac and cheese when I was, 10 or 11, I had to be a specific spoon to make the noodles with.
Yep.
To stir them up. If I didn't have that spoon, I wasn't making mac and cheese. Sorry.
Nope. Has to be a wooden one, or
Yeah.
forget it.
Yep.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It happens to
Yeah.
me still. I'll open the cupboard and I'll be like, oh, I feel like this. And if one tiny thing that I need isn't there, oh, well, that's ruined now. What else can we have instead? I mean, it's just, I can't get around it,
I can't either, and it's the same way. If I want a cup of tea, if the exact cup that I'm thinking of for that cup of tea is not there, forget it. I'll just have something else.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah. It's funny. It's true, though. And appraisal, self-awareness, that's another thing. Self-awareness in the regards of just getting them to actually care if their hair is brushed.
Yes, definitely. Whether or not they've got clean clothes on, whether their face is clean. This one is always has lunch, so we have to remind him, because I'm not sure if he can feel it or not. So yeah, I gotta remind him. You got lunch on your face. Gotta wash that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. It is. So yeah, that's a big one too. So we work on that one.
Well, and that can go back to motivation too. Like, if why do you need to do these things? Don't just expect them to be done, because that's never going to work. They have to have a good reason. You have to have a good reason to brush your teeth. You don't want them to rot out of your head and be gone as an adult. You want to save them. They're the only teeth you're going to have. So that's why you brush your teeth, because you don't want to lose them, because you need them to eat. And if you know how fun it is to eat, that kind of stuff. So it's like you have to make it important to them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much. And executive functioning, truly envelops most of this whole thing. And I guess executive functioning could be looked at as the inclusion of more than one or two of these key points together.
Yes. Absolutely, it can.
Yeah, like, you could be self-aware and think, okay, I'm awake, I better go brush my teeth. And then you go into the bathroom and you don't find your toothpaste because it's empty. There's a different one there, and you've got to get over the being unflexible and just brush your teeth anyway. So there you go, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, and then social skills training.
Big.
Designed Yeah, and yeah, so designed to address the social skills deficits of individuals with autism spectrum disorder, which is tailored to each individual's needs, and that's a that's a key point in it because they're never going to be the same. But
Right.
when it comes to autism, no matter where you are on the spectrum, there's going to be somewhat lack of social skills, to say the least, if not more. And this becomes huge. This becomes, oh, I don't know, maybe 20-30% of your overall concern once they get to be about like 8 or 9, because without social skills, it's pretty hard to interact with everybody around you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's hard for them to get about their day. Even learning is harder without social skills.
Yeah. Like my son socially interacts with some of the younger kids in the neighborhood because it's easier for him, but he interacts with the older ones too because he's trying to get to their level, and he knows there's a difference, and he's working at it. So that's good. It's a practical approach.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's see here. There should be some points coming up. So yeah, shall I just continue with the points then?
Sure.
Yes,
Of that
please.
one? Let's see here. I screwed up. Okay, there I am. So, social skills training, types of interventions. We've got peer monitoring, social skills groups, video modeling, social stories, and picture books, which you've wrapped up into one there, Aimee. And so why don't you lead off there, Aimee? You're, very skilled at this.
Yeah, thank you. He's had peer mentoring at school, and that is actually one of the things that really stood out for him and that really helped him a lot too. He loved it. Social skills groups, we've had those before where they've had like game nights and stuff like that, so we can learn how to have fun with the kids and everything. Those are great. We haven't done as much of the video modeling. We did when he was younger because it was easier for him instead of having to try to comprehend what he's reading. But our social stories and the notebooks that we make with those in them are the biggest things by far that we've used for Matthew that work amazing. And he still, even if he doesn't have his notebooks with him, he'll remember the stories and he'll think back to them and go, oh, that's right.
Nice.
Your notebook with the social stories in it? Yes. He even has a copy that he takes to school with him too, which I'm going to have to make sure is in his backpack when he goes on Mondays.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a show right there. Back to school during COVID. Holy, 2 hours of seriously anxious parents.
Oh God.
I think
Very.
I think the peer mentoring thing would have helped me a lot. Because peer mentoring means you find someone who's neurotypical, the same age, roughly, and this is especially applicable to school. It's basically saying, hey, this person can be a friend, and they're willing to do it. It's you're not trying to set up a forced play date or anything. That's not what it's about. It's more along the lines of, hey, you need someone your own age to interact with. And they're the kind of person that I want you to interact with as a doctor or a parent or whatever.
Right.
And
Exactly. It's been. Oh, sorry.
oh, no worries. Peer mentoring is a really good one. I know the kids in my little neighborhood townhouse complex really well. And I've talked to a few of the older ones and said, hey, guys, blah, blah, this and that, he's autistic and stuff. So, just play along, be cool and whatnot. And in return, they'll pop over in the evening, and because we've got like the 120-inch home theater projector thing going on and everything, right? So they come over and rock out with a movie in the evening or something. Or the one kid, it just, if home life isn't really agreeing with him that day, even if Felix isn't home, he'll just pop over for a few hours just to get away or something, right? But interacting with them on the parent level properly really, really helped, and it was totally, totally good.
Absolutely.
So don't be scared to talk, because I mean the kids get it these days. It's not like it was when we were young. They get it way better. So
They do, and with the way they do schooling now too, they try to emphasize, try to get the kids away from bullying and stuff like that, and being inclusive of neurodiverse kids, and it's been great. We've had they actually volunteer to go into that peer mentoring, and Matt loved it. He absolutely loved having the kids come. Like when you mentioned fun, huh? Yes, he says.
Yeah, we have a slight incident with one kid not being 100% nice with my son when we first moved in here, and I went outside, interrupted it, had a little talk with the kids. Never an issue again.
Nope.
No, and that's 2 years, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I am 6'1" with long hair down to my ass and whatnot, so I'm not sure there's too many kids who would just say, "Hey, screw you" to me. But even still,
Exactly.
But I didn't handle it that way. I explained the situation to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was very different. So I peer mentoring can be done around your local area. The adults, so which adults will actually, work with their children on things, and which are just going to be losers who can't wait for them to go to bed so they can crack a cold one. So, just pick well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've had good luck with the school helping us with that too. So
Cool.
thank you. Yeah, they've been really good. They've been filling in a lot.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
I think we're pushing our longest show here, but we are getting close. Who
Yes.
wants the next one?
I think it's my turn, actually.
Yay!
So, treatments that are considered more controversial. Yes, there's controversy surrounding how you treat autism. Go figure. Special and or restrictive diets. No evidence suggests that diet affects symptoms. That's right, people. None. Not a speck. Not a lick.
Nope.
It might affect some of the comorbidities, which might be where the idea comes from.
Right.
But
I could see that.
Like you want ketogenic diet when you're epileptic, for example. That helps with epilepsy, like a high fat but low carb diet. But only when you're young. Once you're an adult, you want to stop that, because a high fat diet leads to high cholesterol, which can kill you. So it's you don't want to keep doing that your whole life. Medications are less controversial, but there's no approved medication to treat the core symptoms of autism. Again, this goes to comorbidities. For instance, with me, I take atypical for depression. So it's the depression they're treating, not the autism.
Well, I will say I have noticed that it seems that schools are, I got to say this properly, are maybe slightly encouraging parents to also get autistic children tested for attention deficit, blah and blah, because if the child is also diagnosed attention deficit, drugs become an easy solution and you might get a more manageable student. I'm just not sure that that's the right idea.
Well, and that's the thing too. That's what I'm trying to stay away from with Matthew. He obviously does have attention deficit disorder too. He was diagnosed by an outside clinical psychologist that wasn't affiliated with the school. We tried to stay away from that, but that diagnosis too, because I was like, but he's not on medication. I won't yet. I don't think it would be good for him, especially when we're trying to fatten this kid up, huh? Yes. But I just don't think he's to the level that he would need medication anyway.
No.
We've been doing the other therapies, and it seems to be working the best to maintain his attention.
Short-term gain, long-term loss. It's just like in auto racing, not changing tires. Never a good idea at the end of the race.
Exactly. That's why we figured this, we'll just stick with the therapies and
Yeah.
teach them how to focus. And that seems to be having much better long-term effects.
Yeah, they tried this with my son Felix as well. The school said, you know, blah, blah, you might want to talk to the pediatrician. So I spoke to the pediatrician, and he said, well, it would be very easy because he's on the spectrum to get him a diagnosis for attention deficit syndrome because that goes hand in hand with autism. I said, yeah, but I mean, how many labels does the kid need? And all I'm hearing out of this is, well, if he's on attention deficit, we can get drugs for him. And the pediatrician who we've got is really, really cool and said, well, that's pretty much what's going on then. And I said, yeah, I'm not interested then. And he goes, no, you shouldn't be. And that was it. We didn't bother, man, you know.
Yeah, I won't put him on medications either. And our doctor said the same thing with his physician. We actually share the same doctor, don't we? Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which is really good. She even delivered him. So, yeah, she says, no, I don't think he's to the level that he would need medication anyway. She goes, keep doing what you're doing. He does really well.
Yeah.
He likes school, so that's motivation enough.
Once upon a time, there was a...
There you go.
Yeah, it's I do believe that you know, the ADHD type meds might make the school's position a little easier, but it's not going to help educate the child any better. And the school's position can be made easier just with better training and whatnot. And that's something that is just going to take a little bit longer.
And the medication may cloud the other therapies you've already established too. It may throw them completely off, and you have to reestablish them. And then when the kid comes off the medication, you go through that all over again. So you just have to keep
starting.
Yeah. So if you can avoid. I'm not saying if you can, you should, but keep in mind that that's what you need to do.
Absolutely. So, you know, screw all that. And as far as the diet thing, I mean, I've heard a few people just swear, oh, yeah, you know, once we switched the diet, it took about a 3 to 6 month transition and then things did improve. Or was that just a milestone moment, you know, after riding a curve up to a plateau, right? Like, I mean, it's leaps and bounds. It's not constant little victories.
Right.
Absolutely. Right? And even sometimes just those small increments that we get, they're such huge celebrations when they reach a milestone. But it wasn't changing diets that did it. If it's that's just no.
Yeah, I mean, there's research going on right now that thinks they found a couple of genetic markers that could be a part of it, and diet isn't going to change genetic markers, people.
No, it's not going to change a neurological disorder. I'm sorry.
Love that song, Factard. Good one. I just had to get that in. I'm a big fan. It's one of the most hilarious music videos ever done. Who would like to give us the big send off here on the last one?
If I may, please.
Yes.
So I want to say to everyone, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. And this concludes a 3-part series on treatments and therapies. And please definitely stay tuned to the EiE Network for more on autism. We are going to have more shows. We're going to be covering more topics. I hope you heard Matthew. Definitely. So yes, we're going to be either expanding on certain things, or we're just going to go off in different places. We're going to have guests on. We're going to, we're going to have great topics on this, and we're going to make sure that we, bring awareness to autism. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yes. And if you're watching right now and you'd like to join us, or yourself and your child would like to come on, because we're going to get the kids more involved as we go here, keep in touch. Let us know. It's going to be happening.
Absolutely.
And on that note, I think maybe it's time to say good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us for a show we just absolutely love to do. We
Yes.
love this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you guys, and good night.
Thank you.
And stay safe, everybody.
That's right. Good night, everyone.
Night.